Friends who are expecting a baby in the family. What could be more appealing than that? Discussing all the important and cute details, like the name, the excitement of shopping for a variety of essential and non-essential items, and a diversity of other pleasant and enjoyable experiences. Regretfully, in real life, this scenario doesn't always work, and life sometimes had other plans for us than the ones we were expecting. What's the deal with Nick in Brooklyn? Senior's entire life was looking forward to having happier times and the birth of their child. Nothing seemed to be going wrong during the pregnancy. However, an ultrasound revealed that Charlie, the boy's intended name, had the terrible diagnosis of hydrocephalus. Why and how did this happen? We'll find out her entire story at the end of the video. But first, like and share it with others, and make sure you're subscribed and have the notification bell turned on. Nobody was able to respond. Brooklyn, on the other hand, was taken to the hospital right away, and Nick was constantly driving back and forth because he was also responsible for 2 older daughters. The doctors initially gave a positive prognosis and hoped for the best, and they eventually decided to stop measuring the level of fluid in the baby's head, even though it was exceeding all possible and acceptable norms, and it didn't matter anymore. The doctor's only option was to invite the parents into their office and inform them of the tragic news. Their baby boy had a 99% chance of dying shortly after birth, if he was lucky enough to survive. The only alternative was to abort the pregnancy. Despite this, the couple decided against it and promised each other that they would love the child. He was whatever he was. They had no idea what an incredible surprise awaited them at the time. Specialists began assiduously preparing parents to care for their unexpected baby and explain how to keep it alive. Nick and Brooklyn went through the nightmare lecture that they might have to stop providing support and let their son rest in peace at some point, and they did so with their own inherent bravery. Time passed and the day had finally come for Charlie to enter the world. Just 15 minutes before the C-section, the parents were lectured once more, this time about the baby's inability to breathe on his own, and that they might have to allow the doctors to let him go to heaven. After that, Brooklyn was taken away, and Nick heard something incredible after a few terrifying minutes of waiting. His voice was yelling, he was breathing on his own, and he was on the verge of passing out. In his entire life, his father had never heard a more beautiful sound. When the doctors performed the C-section, they were pleasantly surprised to discover a perfectly healthy boy who instantaneously declared himself with a loud cry. How could this be possible, though? The doctors were speechless after the shock and could only look at them with amazement and shrugs of their hands. Later, the professor stated that they did not have a scientific explanation for what had occurred. The brain had managed to break the blockage and restore fluid balance in some way. Nick and his wife heard the words "divine intervention" and "miracle" more times than they could count during their time in the hospital. Even the most knowledgeable nurses and doctors in the world couldn't believe their eyes and couldn't help but rejoice with them. Nick later stated that medicine had never been anything like this before and actually knew that all their family, friends, and coworkers were praying for them and asking for their support. They believed that a domino effect had actually occurred and are now more than convinced that prayers can help. In a type of scenario like this, what else could a person say? What else could it be called if not a miracle? These kind of stories restore one's faith in miracles. May little Charlie grow up to be a healthy child, much to the delight of his parents and everyone else. All we have to do now is tell you about this story so that as many people as possible believe in miracles. What are your thoughts on this story, friends? How is this even possible? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section. That concludes today's discussion. Make sure your browser's notification bell's turned on. Hopefully, you'll keep it in mind at all times. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll bid you farewell.